courtship reveals the best, but marriage reveals the rest. There are 7 fundamental stages of marriage, all right? Pia, can you run through the 7 stages of marriage with us?
Yeah, okay.
Or
So
at least you can start, we start each one and we cover, because we're going to be looking at 4 episodes, like about at least 4 episodes. We'll tackle all these, so you need to, know that we're going to be taking them bit by bit. So we'll start with the first one. Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. And one thing I want to also say is that the reason we are discussing this is that the success or failure of every marriage depends on it. Every marriage goes through these 7 stages.
Yeah.
And the reason if people know better, they will do better. So the reason a lot of marriages crash is because they don't know, because understanding each stage, and understanding the principles for navigating them is very critical to the success of every marriage.
Correct.
So, pay careful attention to this because it's very important. So the first stage of marriage is the romance stage or the passion stage, and it's purely driven by chemicals, it's purely driven by hormones. That's the stage where you don't see any faults in the person because the hormones are high. Is that attraction? This person is an angel with wings. They literally fly. Even if people are trying to point out faults in the person, you don't see any faults, right? Because this person is perfect in your eyes and all that, and that's why you married them in the first place. So that's where everybody starts this journey. The problem and where a lot of marriages crash is that they base their entire marriage just on this stage alone, and it's not enough to sustain marriage. So, and they come with those expectations, thinking that this, and I mean, you listen to a lot of these love songs that a lot of these people sing, you notice that what they call love is just this basic attraction level and all that, but trying to build marriage on just that, it's just, there's no marriage that survives it.
Yeah.
Yes,
so the passion stage is actually more like the marketing stage of the thing. So that's where chemistry is, and usually, most marriages, the majority of marriages will pass through the passion stage.
Yes.
The only exception being if you are under some sort of duress, in getting married to the person that you eventually got married to. That would be the only exception. So in other words, if maybe the marriage is a product of betrothal between both families, or let's say maybe the lady felt obligated to marry the man because of the fact that he paid her way through school or took care of her parents or something like that. Most other marriages will pass through the passion stage. Okay? Now the passion stage usually is that chemistry stage, it's the attraction stage. And most people will think of the passion stage because that's what it is.
Yes, sir.
The passion stage is based almost entirely on erotism.
Yes. That's
right?
Physical
attraction, physical chemistry, Now, the truth of the matter is this. When we think of love, you do know that there are at least 4 different Greek words for love.
Yes, sir.
When people think of love, the first thing they think about, and that's what the world has also encouraged, that's what society really promotes, is eros.
Yeah.
That physical chemistry that draws the man to the woman, and everything, That usually is where most love songs build around, most romance novels, most movies build around the fantasies they get from the, boy meets girl, knights in the shining armor, and all those kind of things, Romeo and Juliet type of thing, and you see, that is not...
it makes people come into marriage with a lot of times unreal expectations.
That's the problem. Because in navigating through these various stages of marriage, one key word you need to understand is, or one key phrase is management of expectations. All right? Management of expectations. And we're going to take a look at that. You see that. All right? Now, think of the passion stage. A lot of people come in, usually into the marriage, And then the basis of the chemistry, the level of chemistry that flows between the man and the lady is usually on the basis of how much of the boxes each person ticks for the other person.
Yes,
yeah?
sir. Yes, sir.
So that usually is the focus. Okay. Now see where this is a problem. The problem usually is that, like they say, courtship reveals the best, but marriage reveals the rest. So that passion stage will show, everyone wants to put the better foot forward.
Yes, sir.
That's usually what they do. And if you base it on that, you'll be in for some very big surprises. The truth of the matter is, at the passion stage, you can fall in love, quote unquote, with a lot of people.
Yes, sir.
The Bible tells us about Solomon in the book of 1 Kings. It says Solomon loved many women. And by many, we're not talking about 2 or 3 or 10. He said he loved many women. At the last count, we had about 1,000 women in his harem. Those are the ones that were part of the census. So we don't know those that were not counted. So it's actually, the passion stage is something you can feel for a lot of people. So that's why if you base your entire marriage on just the passion stage, you are you're a candidate for trouble. Your marriage is an accident and a disaster going somewhere to happen. That's the point. So we must be conscious of that.
Because it's based on just the physical features of the person.
Yes.
The fact that the lady has nice shape or nice eyes or, whatever it is that attracts people. And then inside the person's head, and of course, that's also what draws people into having sex.
Yeah.
And then once that physical intimacy comes in, it creates a false sense of bonding.
Yeah.
And then the person thinks they know this person or they are truly in love with this person. And it's one of the biggest deceptions that we've seen.
The passion stage is very important. It's important to sustain passion,
Yes.
right? It's very important to sustain passion. But after the passion stage, there are other stages where the rubber would actually meet the road.
Yeah.
Okay? It's very possible for you to be passionate concerning someone this moment, and the very next moment that passion dries up. So a lot of people get into the passion stage, and you like we spoke about Solomon, that's where Solomon, had so many women he loved, because that's what chemistry is basically, yeah. So you don't want to base anything on chemistry. The moment you have chemistry with someone, that attraction is what you're meant to use to build something more meaningful, right? And a lot of times, like you noted, the passion stage comes with a lot of unrealistic expectations. And because of those unrealistic expectations, the second stage is inevitable. What's the second stage? Tell us.
Okay, the second stage is the realization stage. So it's at that point that you begin to see that the person you married is not perfect.
Yes.
It's at that point you begin to see the person's flaws, the person's imperfections, and then disappointments begin to set in. Oh, I thought this guy was like this. I thought this guy was like this. You see, okay, maybe you married a guy and then you realize, okay, this guy snores, or maybe his feet smells, or just, it's not that it wasn't there, it had always been there, but then you see the passion blinds the person, one party from seeing that, but then when those fires, those fires begin to die down, and then reality hits you in the face. And then the first thing is disappointment. I thought it was this. And then the person's expectation is almost like it's crashing.
Yeah.
But it's also important because this is also a place, like we said, if it's not properly managed, it can lead to a lot of problems. But if it's properly managed, it's one of the things, open communication, is understanding, is acceptance. The fact that you marry this person, what's and all, also accept the fact that this person is not perfect. And then both of you walk through it together and navigate from there. Yes,
the realization stage is inevitable because usually, as we've said, the passion stage is marketing. Nobody markets his product and tells you the deficiencies in the product. Nobody's going to do that, all right? So, while you met the lady, you were walking on eggshells, she was also walking on eggshells, and they were being very, 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 conservative with certain aspects of, your life that you didn't want them to see, all right, so that you don't fall into or you lose favor. You don't lose favor before them. So by the time you are in the realization stage, what usually happens is that you come to realize that many of those things you thought were what the person had, and like you noted, you know, the passion stage blinds someone. So you come to the realization stage, you now realize that you begin to see that many of the things you thought the person had, or many of the things you thought that, or maybe not, let's not say many, some of the things you thought the person had, or some of the things you thought the person, you know, was, you know, you find that your eyes begin to open, and you find that that's not actually what the person is. It's not necessarily that the person was lying to you, but you see, emotions in many cases is the amount of emotions at play usually is inversely proportional to the amount of logic at play. So you have, you know, emotions come in and the person is blind. If you've had people that have had crushes on other people before, you know, it's the same effect, you know, the same effect. It has a way of blinding people, you know, hormones are unleashed, and then it has a way of blinding people to reason, you know. So when you finally now begin to live with the person, you know, like you noted, that's when you realize that, you know, the guy snores, or the lady farts, you know, or that this person is very dirty, or this person is very lazy,
or disorganized.
You know,
if he finishes bathing, you wonder whether he bathed in the bathtub or on the floor.
You know, that kind of thing. So you have all those kind of things. So realization sets in, and, you know, disappointment is an inevitable result.
Yes.
Because you see, disappointment always comes where there are expectations. Where the lower the expectation, the lower the disappointment. So the key in this particular case is from the beginning learning to manage your expectations. All right. You do realize that you are not perfect, and so you're not expecting the other person to be perfect, or you should not expect the other person to be perfect. So where we are rigid concerning expectations, the disappointment is definitely going to be high. Once we are not flexible concerning expectations, and obviously there's things you must be flexible with, there's some other things you cannot afford to be flexible with. So in managing expectations, even before, if you're here, you're listening to us, you're not married, you want to get married, you know, start from the beginning and write down those things you must be rigid about, and those things you can afford to be flexible about. You can't put everything in one basket, all right? So that is something that will help you very, very seriously within these various stages. So when realization sets in, what are you supposed to do? Manage expectations. That's the key word.
Manage expectations.
Manage expectations. If we start from passion, what are you to do in the place of passion? Restrain your emotions. Don't let them run loose. Okay? If you're still at the passion stage, know when to apply logic. Don't let your emotions run loose, particularly if you're not yet married to the person. All right? Remember that it is the level of expectations you have that will determine the size of your disappointment. Okay? So, you know, manage expectations at the second level, restrain your emotions at the first level. That's very important. Okay? Now, there are some instances we have seen in the past. You know, I've been married for, this year's 19 years. You, I think, you've been married
15.
for 15 years.
15 years.
You know, so there are so many instances we've seen where people have been able to manage expectations, and, you know, they reduce the shock of the realization stage.
Yes, sir.
You know, some others have remained adamant in what they think they are supposed to get out of the relationship, and the, you know, the KPIs, the key performance indicators that they have set for their marriage, what they expect, you know, and they're not willing to make adjustments. You see, we've seen these things before, and yes, I'm sure in your head now you have a lot of instances, because I know I do.
Yes, sir.
You know, but you know, where maturity comes in is learning not to consider yourself with your heart, while considering others with your head. Because what we tend to do is while we're dealing with other people, we use our head. While we're dealing with ourselves, we use our hearts. So maturity is actually the transition from having a thick skin, a soft skin and hard heart, to having a thick skin and a soft heart. Many times, the hard heart we have is what we express to other people. The thin skin is we can't take what it is we give to other people. While we're dealing with ourselves, we want to use kids' gloves.
Yes, sir.
So when others do something, for us it is a sin. When we do the same thing, for us it's a mistake. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And you know, marriage won't give you that opportunity, not for long. It won't give you that opportunity. So you must be deliberate about how your expectations and how to manage those expectations. The key word in each of these levels is change. The key word is change. You will always realize that change must happen,
Yes, sir.
in order for you to have a stable marriage, particularly in the transitions as we pass through each of these phases.
Yes, sir.
It's always the case.
Yes, sir.
When this is not managed, it ends up leading to the next stage. You know?
And so I also want to say something because I remember at the beginning you told us that marriage is not a union of two perfect people.
No, it's not.
It's a union of two imperfect people that are committed to making it work.
Very
So
true.
from the beginning, I told myself, this person is not perfect. I'm not perfect. There's no point expecting perfection when me, I'm not perfect. It's just useless. So knowing that the person I married, you know, like their assets and liabilities, everybody has them. I have my assets and my liabilities, my strengths and weaknesses. The person I'm married to has her assets and her liabilities. So before I even entered, you know, I like you talked about KPIs, you talked about, I told myself, you said there are things that you are rigid about,
Yes.
and there are some other things you are flexible
Yes.
about. So for me, there are things I know I can't live with. So from the beginning, I told myself, you know, but then there are things I know, okay, I can live with this, it's not a problem, and all that. So working with that mindset from the beginning, because marriage requires a lot of adjustment,
Yes.
a lot of
Yes.
adapting.
Yes.
Because that's what creates the problem. When, like you said, some people are adamant, they don't want to make any adjustments, they don't want to change. That's where the problem, that's where marriages begin to crash.
You know why this is a very important point?
Yes.
Because, you know, if I had out of every 10 relationships, I don't know about you,
Yes, sir.
but out of every 10 relationships with problems,
Yes, sir.
out of every 10 marital problems
Yes,
or
sir.
scenarios that, you know, the couple have issues, you know, at least 8 of them, probably 9, if not 9.5, you know, of those instances, you find one party pointing at the other.
Yes, sir.
It's
Yes,
always
sir.
the other person's fault.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's always the other person's fault. There's something the other person is not doing, and there are people that are not willing to take responsibility.
Yes, sir.
You see, now
And then it makes understanding and even reconciliation very difficult.
It's you know, in such an instance, it's almost impossible to reconcile, because, you know, as far as you're concerned, I mean, there's really nothing you have done wrong in this particular case. If she didn't do this, this would not have happened. If he doesn't usually talk this way, this will not be happening right now, you know. And so, because of these things and the inability to manage expectations, there's friction. Friction happens, and then, you know, the marriage begins to plunge and everything, you know. So, you know, we're going to be talking about the next phase, the next stage. The next stage, when people don't manage the realization stage properly, you know, something happens. Something very, very serious happens, you know, at the next stage. And in each of these stages, we're going to be giving you operational words and things you must bear in mind, you can apply to ensure that you have a smooth transition to the next phase, but you manage the phase where you are properly.
Hello guys, hope you are truly blessed by the message we shared today. If you are blessed by this message, please take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting messages we share to your family, your friends and your loved ones. Thank you for joining us today. Stay blessed and until next time, God bless you.